Hello and welcome to Session 5, Designing a Semantic Model in Power BI. I'm Andrew Conniff, a Microsoft technical trainer specializing in data and AI. Let's get designing. In this session, we're going to talk about star schema design and creating and managing relationships. On this slide, we see a fact table on the left and a dimension table on the right. In data modeling, understanding the components of a data model is crucial, including fact and dimension tables and the relationships between them. Facts represent activities, observations, or events such as sales orders, stock balances, temperatures, etc. Whereas dimensions describe business entities like products, people, places, and concepts, providing details or answers to questions like who, what, where, when, how, etc. Creating a well-designed data model in Microsoft Power BI offers numerous benefits. It enhances data understanding, simplifies report building, and enables faster data exploration. It facilitates simpler aggregations, ensuring more accurate reports, and reduces feature maintenance efforts. Defining specific rules for an ideal data model is challenging due to the uniqueness of our usage of our data. Generally, a smaller data model is preferred for improved performance and ease of use. However, determining the exact criteria for a smaller data model is subjective and depends on heuristics and individual context. Power BI combines tables from different sources into a single semantic model, making it easier to analyze and report on data. In the star schema, we have a fact table connected to several dimension tables. This separation simplifies the data and provides a clear hierarchy and context for analysis. By connecting the fact table to these dimension tables, we establish relationships and determine the level of detail in the data. The star schema allows us to create and visualize relationships between tables, analyze data efficiently, and create informative reports. Power BI provides the capability to establish relationships between tables from various data sources, such as enabling us to bring in data from Microsoft Excel and a relational database, and get a cohesive semantic model. Let's explore how to create these relationships effectively. We can use existing relationships. So when connecting to a relational database, it's worth noting that those relationships may already be defined in the database architect, and we can use primary and foreign keys. Power BI can also automatically detect relationships between tables based on the data. We leverage this feature and make necessary modifications or delete relationships as we go along to align with our data model and analysis requirements. It is recommended to test and verify relationships created manually or automatically. Relationships can be established using multiple columns within a table. By holding the Control key and selecting the desired columns, we can create relationships based on specific criteria. This functionality differs from merging queries in Power Query and adds value to the data modeling. Each table can have only one active relationship, but it is possible to define multiple relationships between tables. For example, we can create one active relationship with the date table for a sales fact table and define an additional relationship as inactive. These inactive relationships can be used later by implementing DAX calculations and exploring different analysis perspectives. Unlike other database management systems, Power BI has the concept of directionality in a relationship. This directionality plays an important role in filtering the data between multiple tables. Cardinality in a Power BI desktop relationship refers to the uniqueness of the data values in a column. It determines the relationship between the tables based on the number of records that correlate between them. In the context of a many-to-one cardinality, it means that there are multiple records on the left or top value, and that they correspond to a single record on the right or bottom table. The many-to-one is a flip of that. So that describes relationships in which you have many instances of a value in one column, and then they're related to a unique or corresponding instance in another column. Fact tables and dimension tables have a many-to-one relationship. So for example, a salesperson in the dimension table can be associated with multiple sales or records in the fact table. This is a common type of directionality and is the Power BI default when you automatically create relationships. However, the cross-filter direction determines the flow of the data filtering between the tables in a relationship. If the cross-filter direction is set to both between the tables, then filtering can occur in both directions. This means that selecting a specific product in the products table will filter the sales table to show only the sales data related to that product. Similarly, selecting a specific sales record in the sales table will filter the product table and display only the relevant product information. Using bidirectional filtering can create complex interactions and may result in unexpected or undesired filtering outcomes. So for example, if a user selects a specific product in the products table, it can filter sales table and show relevant sales data. However, this bidirectionality filtering can also impact the products table, potentially leading to a distorted view of the product information. Additionally, enabling both cross-filter directions can introduce performance issues, as the bidirectional filtering requires more computational resources to process and maintain the synchronized filters between the tables. If we create a many-to-many relationship, we get a warning asking if it's intentional. And this is because they are very difficult to manage, and this allows us to catch this early if this is not the intention. Modeling data is about establishing and maintaining relationships so that we can effectively visualize the data in the form that we want and that our business requires. When we are creating these relationships, a common pitfall that we might encounter are circular relationships. For example, if we are developing reports for a sales team and are examining the relationships between the tables, in a poorly designed data model, table 1, for example, has a many-to-one relationship with a column in table 2, but table 2 has a one-to-many relationship with table 3 that has its own relationship with table 1. We've just gone in a circle. This web of relationship is difficult to manage and becomes a daunting task to build visuals around and debug. It's no longer clear what the relationships are that exist, and therefore it's important that we are able to identify circular relationships so that our data is usable. So to understand circular relationships, we first need to understand dependencies. Consider that you have the following calculated column total in the sales table. So we have sales total cost equals sales quantity multiplied by the sales price. The total cost depends on quantity and price. So if a change occurs in either quantity or price, a change will occur in total cost as well. This example outlines the dependency of a column on other columns, but we can also have dependencies between measures, tables, and relationships. Hierarchies in Power BI allow us to organize and explore data in dimension tables by creating structured relationships between the different levels of detail. This enables us to drill down into specific data points and gain insights at various levels of granularity. To create a hierarchy, we access the data panes in the Power BI and select the columns representing the levels of the hierarchy. And once the hierarchy is created, it can be used in visualizations. Let's consider an example. So we have a scenario where we want to analyze sale data by group, region, and country region. By creating a hierarchy in the location dimension table, we can easily navigate through the different levels of geography. This hierarchy will provide us with the flexibility to view data at a high level, such as by total region, and then drill down to country, region, and city levels to focus on the visuals more narrowly. Using a hierarchy is recommended for all relationships where the user gains value by investigating deeper levels of detail and extracting more granular insights.
All right, let's talk about creating our model. And what we want to do is take a look at some data. So we're going to create a table and we're going to visualize the product category, right? So we want product and category in our table. So first we're going to select from the well here, a table. And then on the right, we're going to find product category. And we see that it shows up. And then we want sales and the total sales number. So we're going to add another column there. And you'll notice everything looks the same. So what we need to do is create the relationships so that when I put categories in, we get the total sales for bikes or accessories or components. So we're going to move to our modeling view and we are going to manage the relationship. So for now, I'm going to make a little bit more room. All right. This is good enough. So I want sales and product, and I want to connect them on the product key. Two ways I can do this. One is I can drag this over and drop it on there. Now you need to be very careful with that. Sometimes when we drop it, it will move over one. And so it'll be on the wrong one. So always double check when you're creating these relationships that we have the correct things chosen. Okay, so the product key from the product table, and it's going to be one to many from that product table to the sales, because we have many sales of the same product. So one to many, it always starts with the top table to the bottom. So if for some reason you select them backwards, you would just reverse that to many to one. All right, we're good to go there. So let's go ahead and set that up by saving this, and we'll see a line appear. And so we can see now that we have the asterisk here is the many, we have the one, and the direction of the filtering is indicated by this arrow. Okay, want to confirm that they're the same, and if you highlight these, they will look out. So we're going to make a bunch more relationships in a very similar way. So the reseller, we're also going to connect to sales. So my reseller key is in both of these. And make sure they're both selected. And we'll save that one. We want our region and our sales on the sales territory key. So region to sales. Go. And then confirm. Sales territory key. Sales territory key. One to many. Make sure it's active. And save. The next one is going to be salesperson employee key to sales employee key. Drag over in the direction I want my filtering to go. Confirm that they are the same. One to many. Make it active. And you'll see we now, with the relationships that we've created, our total is what it was before. And rather than appearing on every line, it's divided between what has actually been sold. And we're going to create a hierarchy. So we're going to context click on the category and select create hierarchy. And we're going to go to category and context click create hierarchy. Now, if you'll notice, we just have category in there. If we open up our properties panel now, we can choose from here. I'm going to then choose subcategory and product. So category, subcategory, and then we're going to add product. Then we need to apply those changes. Otherwise, if I navigate away, it's going to not keep anything that I've added. Now you'll notice on the right-hand side, I have my hierarchy, and inside of there, category, subcategory, and product. All right, next, what we want to do is modify how things appear. So what we're going to do is our background color formats and our font color formatting are going to be used together. So if I select my background, well, let's see, I've got font color and background color. So they're kind of separate. You see how I had to hunt there, and we're going to do, so what we've done is we've selected the two of these, and together now we can edit the properties together. So here we're going to create a display folder. The display folder we're going to call formatting. And you can see now, immediately they've moved, and we now can twirl up and twirl down. All right, next what we're going to do in the region table is we're going to create another hierarchy with regions, and we want the group, country, and region. So we're going to select the region value, and it's going to be group, country, and region. So we're going to add group, country, and we want region at the bottom, and apply level changes. And now we have group, country, and region. Inside the country, now let's move on to the sales table. All right, we're going to select the cost column, and then we're going to look in our description, and we're going to say based on standard cost. Okay, that's going to help us in the tooltip if when we go in later, we can see what that's based on. Now we're going to go into the quantity, and we're going to format that a little bit. So there we go. Make sure that moves. And then under formatting, we have data type. We want 1,000 separator. Just going to toggle that to yes for 1,000 separator. Okay. All right. Then in the unit price, we want to set the decimal places property to 2. So under properties for the unit price, make sure that switches. There we go. Rather than auto, we're going to go to 2. Oh, that saved it for us. There we go. 2 decimal places for unit price. And then in the advanced group, we're going to say summarized by, and we're going to select the average. So if we scroll down, rather than summarized by sum, we're going to say average. Now let's explore some of our connections. If we go back to the report view, now let's take a look at some things that have happened since we've set all of these things up. We are going to take a look at our sales and notice that there's an order date hierarchy. We've talked about Power BI doing a lot of things for us. So one of the things it does for us is it creates these date hierarchies for all of the tables that have dates in them. We don't want that. We're going to end up with a common date table. So we want to remove all of this compute overload. So what we're going to do is we're going to turn off auto date and time. So we're going to go into our files section, options and settings, and then options. And so if we go file, options and settings, and then options, we will see there's an on data load, and then there's the current file data load. So if we have global, that means the next time we do this, it will not do this as well. So we want to turn that off. And just to check, we can go back in current file data load and turn off time intelligence. So we're going to select OK. And notice that the hierarchy created for us is now gone. When we have a salesperson and they make sales, we may need to do a couple of different things. We're going to check a couple of fields. We're going to create a new table vision. So we're going to put our salesperson and sales in there. We're going to take a look at this relationship. So let's add a new table. All right, add our salesperson to the table. And then we want to add sales. All right, so this table is the sales made by each salesperson, but there's another relationship between sales people and sales. So some salespeople belong to one or two or more sales regions. And some regions can have multiple salespeople assigned to them. So if we look at Michael Blythe, right, we have a number there. Let's find Michael Blythe, almost 9 million. And now if we make some adjustments, we're going to change up our model relationship. So we have salesperson region and then we have region and then the salesperson. So all of these relationships are together. So let's connect our relationships. Let's go to the model view and we want salesperson region, and salesperson near each other. So let's just make sure that that's happening. Yeah. Salesperson region. This is all pretty good. And what we want to do is take the employee key from salesperson to salesperson region and validate that those are the same. And then we'll save this. And then we're going to do sales territory key from region to salesperson region. Validate that landed in the same place. Whoa. And then I just undid it. All right. So if we save this with the defaults, we'll notice that nothing's changed. Michael Blythe still looks the same. All right. So what we want to do is we want to go back to our report view and we want to change the filter direction. So we want to follow the relationship filter from salesperson to the sales table and salesperson to salesperson region. So our salesperson goes to salesperson region and goes to sales. This is correct. And then we have region going in to salesperson region, to the salesperson region. Okay, so that's not what we want. So what we want to do is we want to set the filter direction to both, and then we should get the double arrow. Okay, and we want to apply security filter in both directions. Yes. Now still, we're not going to have a change. We still have Michael Blythe, about 9 million. So we're using that as our pivot. We're going to go keep looking and making some changes. We want to force filter propagation on the bridging table between salesperson and sales. So what we want to do is we're going to edit the relationship and we're going to uncheck make this action. So this is between salesperson and sales. All right. And so if we go back, we'll see there's nothing there. Oh, sales order number. Okay. So now to follow this path, we have our salesperson relationship to our sales table rather than directly changing what's happening here, because our salesperson is going to go into our one-to-many regions. They might belong to more than one region, and that's our salesperson region. That's going to pipe then in that data one-to-many. The direction goes in both directions. So all of the regions that Michael Blythe is now in are being sent to the region, and the region is tapping in and filtering the sales column. So in our reports, all that filtering is happening. And you'll see now that Michael Blythe is almost 22 million. So this is all of the regions that Michael Blythe is in and all of the totals. And of course, if you add them all up, the totals would exceed what's in there. All right, so we've seen how to make our connections, how those connections change what's happening. And as we selected these things, our report would cross filter if we had more than one table on here. Let's see, I think we have some products and you can see the values changing up here as it cross filters through the report. Just a quick example of how that works. And that brings us to the end of this demonstration.
This concludes our session. There are many ways to continue your learning journey. We encourage you to watch other videos in this course or search out your next favorite topic on Microsoft Learn at aka.ms/learn.